Man, I had a blast. I had a blast at Momocon, and I enjoyed it more. And this is going to sound very obvious, so Captain Obvious strikes again. But I enjoyed it more from the press side of it than just going as a fan because I got to see things that I probably wouldn't see otherwise, or things because like every time I've gone to any convention, and I've been to Dragon Con a number of times. This is my third time going to Momocon. Um, and then I've gone to like some of the other smaller little things that were kind of around town. There was like a comic book and toy convention out where I live. It was out like in Conyers, Georgia. So I mean, it was a little bit smaller, but surprisingly enough, some of the local shops they all came by. They had their little stuff set up and whatnot, and it was cool. I mean, it was literally a mini convention. Not even can't even call it a con. It was a meetup. But they had like a lot of stuff. And so every time I've gone, I go primarily to be amongst my people, the geeks and the nerds, to see the cosplay. And I always go to Dragon Con for the parade because it's like the one display where I get to see like all the best cosplays in a simple format. But those are the ones that I've attended. Now, Teresa, I know you. Obviously, I got to hang out with you at MomoCon this year, and we know you went last year because you got to do some cosplays there. These the first two that you've been to, or do you go regularly? What are some of the ones you've done?
Last year, well, not really. Because of my personality, I have to, in order for me to go to something like that, I have to be participating in some way. So I
Mhm.
started working at cons. That's the only thing that was going to get me to go into a big crowd of people like that was a paycheck. So
Love it. No,
I
that
started
hey,
working cons.
Facts.
I worked
I
Lovely.
Atlanta Comic Convention or Atlanta Comic Con, whichever. I
yeah,
worked that one
yeah.
I think twice.
Mm.
Um, and then I met Dana and
Okay.
I started volunteering at MomoCon. Once again, that's the only way I'm going to go. Even though I'm interested, I want to go,
Mhm.
it's overwhelming. So
Yeah.
to have a job, something to do there other than just going and, you know,
Walking around and being
Walking
surrounded.
around.
No, no, I get that.
wandering aimlessly, I
I
go and in
have an
volunteering, you have
objective.
a job, but then when you are off, you can go and do whatever. And so that's the way I started with cons. Last year was my first MomoCon.
Okay.
Um, and Dana's the director of media relations or whatever for MomoCon, which is just like the best place. It's the
Shout
best
out to
vision, I think,
shout out to
because
Dana Morgan, Moana
right,
Nui. That's my
you
girl.
go to cons and you have to stand in line to meet the celebrities, and you have to pay for pictures, and you have to pay for autographs or whatever. We're in media relations, and they set up interviews for the press outlets to come in and talk to these people, and then we get free pictures with the celebs when it's over, and sometimes we get free autographs. So I mean, it's perfect,
Mm.
really. And then when you're not on the clock, if you will, you can go mingle and see the cosplays and go to the vendor hall or whatever. So it's the best of both worlds. I did that for Dragon Con last year. I did volunteer, but I go to Dragon Con for honestly for the photo shoots,
Yeah,
Mm.
and
yeah,
I
because they
did
do
get to
some big
attend
meetups
some
there.
panels. Yeah, the meetups are awesome. Um, so I probably won't volunteer this year because I want to be able to go to more of the photo shoots, the meetups and stuff. So I probably will just buy a ticket and but see I've gotten past the point where I need a reason to be there other than attending the con.
Right.
And that no, that
Right.
makes perfect sense because, like I
Because you're
said,
comfortable now.
Exactly.
well,
And
not
I'll
only
be with
that,
my friends.
right? Yeah, I was about to say not only that, but I will say that I definitely enjoyed this MomoCon as a member of the press for MomoCon, um, because it was a different way to be at Momocon. And it gave me something to do. And it, like you said, it gave me an objective. It kept me focused. And I work on having a better camera person. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was great. And I have to thank, like honestly, I really do have to thank my wife for coming there, helping out, my daughter for being there, helping out. Um, because let me tell you, when I was there by myself on Sunday, it was a struggle being
Mm.
by myself. And if it hadn't been for some of the other press people, I mean, we were literally everybody was helping each other out because we're all there solo trying to make these things happen and get this content. Um, Brandy, have you had an opportunity to visit any cons, attend, or any of the things? Do you do them?
I've only ever been to one, and it was here, and so it was somewhat small, but it was cool. I'm not I I'm not a I'm like Teresa. Like I really am would need like somebody being like, "Come on girl, I got a free thing. Let's go down here and do the things." And because I don't
No, I
I what I
let me tell
saw,
you.
and it was cool. Like I had such a good time. There was a lot of cosplayers, and we took pictures with them, and everybody was really nice. And I had a ball and a blast. But that times 10, the idea of that freaks me out. So
Mm.
It is a
I would
lot.
definitely I would
Yeah,
definitely need to have an intro. You know what I mean? Like an
yeah, a
intro
segue
person.
into yeah.
Yeah, like
No,
we
I,
just
I
hang out back here and kind of
It is about who you with.
observe.
it definitely, yeah, the company that you keep and the people you're around when you're there will absolutely make or break the experience. But I mean, I think that's safe to say for anything new you do. I don't think it's exclusive to going to conventions by
No.
any means.
And I'm not saying that I think it would be a bad time or that like I think that people would be mean or anything like that. It's just a
There's a lot of people.
crowd.
It's a
Yeah, it's
lot
a
of
There's
lot.
people.
a lot of
No,
It's
let me
people.
a
tell you
lot.
something.
It's
There's a
If
lot.
sensory
you,
overload.
Oh
I was
yeah.
about to say, if you don't have something to focus on, you
And if you're
can,
not used to that,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah.
was, I was very comfortable in, at Comic Cons, but I'm from New York, so I'm used to,
Yeah.
these. Everything's a large gathering of people.
I was about to say
Right.
Walking on the street.
everybody go.
I was about to
Yeah.
say, you
So
stop on the corner and get a slice, and
I'm
it's
just
like
trying to
a
go to
gang of people.
Fridays. Why is
Me,
this
I'm
going
and
to
see,
yell
and
at
I'm
me?
very much like, why are you standing so close? You have all of that space. Why are you right here? And so when you're at a place like Momocon and you have no choice but to kind of push past people to get to the escalator, to get to the elevator, to get up and down the stairs, there's a line for everything. Um,
It's at the convention center. So
this one was at Georgia World Congress Center,
okay, the World Conference.
and the Dragon Con is. See, I've always done Dragon Con for the parade. It's free. You're only paying for parking, and you go, you find a spot, and it's just like any other parade. You're there, you have your spot, you get to see the sights, and people walk by and they do the things, and it's great. It doesn't cost anything. You know what I'm saying? So for me, Dragon Con's always been phenomenal because you get down there in time enough to get a good seat for the parade, and then when the parade is over, so many people in cosplay just walking around, and none of the good events that people want to go and attend and see are held during the parade because the parade is the big thing for that day. So it's not like the keynote speaker. I don't really think there is a keynote speaker, but like they're not going to do a Hall H at the same time the parade's happening. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody going to the parade if they doing it like that. Um, Now, I have dipped my toe in with little things like the Renaissance Festival, which similar but not the same. And so,
Yeah, I just
it's
went on
Never been
Monday.
to one. I always wanted to go to one.
I
But I
just
yeah,
felt
went
like I would
Monday.
stick out like the proverbial sore thumb.
No,
you
not at the one in
really
Atlanta.
will not.
We in there.
We deep. Look,
The
and not only are we
the
in
hit
there,
the
we got
tizzes and the hats and
fairies.
the
Yeah, you got fairies and
yeah,
elves and buccaneers and pirates. They deep in there.
yeah. We
And
in there.
eventually,
Oh, that's
And
so
regular people like me. Dwayne
That's what I was
in
gonna say.
Yeah,
basketball
with
shorts.
Dwayne dressing up.
with a jersey and
I'm
some
in-
shorts and a
I'm
hat.
gonna wear a
you know?
cool
I'm in there.
shirt.
I'm in
I'm
there
gonna
like
wear a
Martin
cool
Lawrence in
t-shirt.
Black Knight.
Right.
Got a jersey on.
So, RG, you're there. What are some of the cons you've attended? Have you had an opportunity to attend any major comic conventions or
I have done Comic Cons.
Comic Cons? Okay.
Yes, I have done Comic Cons. So I started big because Momocon, when I was in Atlanta, Momocon was still, I think, just a Georgia Tech thing or something. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like it was real small. So Comic Con, in New York, it's at the Jacob Javits Center. It's huge.
Right.
It's absolutely spectacular. Like, but I'm there for the cosplay is cool to me. I think it's nice to look at. But I am definitely there to get as much lore for all the different IPs that I'm interested in as possible. So it's real cool. I met the dude who
So you're a panel guy.
fans. I like panels, but I'm a social butterfly. So when I'm
Okay.
in
Okay.
situations, there's a lot of comic book writers and different people, who are selling like their original comics and people associated with certain brands. And I like to start conversations and just ask questions and get information about the lore of what I'm interested in reading in. So it's like, I've learned more about Lord of the Rings, just from talking with one of the writers from the movie,
Right.
and it's like, there's just different things that it's like, I really do. I like going to all the Marvel, all the Marvel setups and just conversing with different people who have more knowledge than me about a subject, and it's just there's a lot of people there who know more than I do about the shit that I like. So it's a really good opportunity to learn more about the shit that I like.
Gotcha.
And it's sometimes it's kind of tough because it's like, yes, I'm a super nerd, I'm a super geek, but I come from I'm gonna punch you in your fucking face, background. So, it's like
trying to find that balance between being in a crowd and talking to the same crowd can be challenging.
Yeah, well, it's just nice to be around people that are actually interested in things that you're interested in, that are not about, that are not about current events. That's not about politics, not about religion. It's not about how much money you gonna make off this. It's not about the next lick. It's not, the various things that what I'm saying. My peoples talk about. So it's good to be in those situations where it's like, this is where the nerds and the geeks get to shine. Like, this is our there's not a single person at these places that makes me feel the least bit uncomfortable. And the love, the energy in these places, at these events, at these cons, it's just so fucking welcoming. Like, the cosplayers are all more than willing to take pictures with you, and and
but you know what, that is a perfect question. So Jeff, have you ever been we're gonna bring that back around. Have you ever been to any conventions? You were out in Cali for a while. You ever get a chance to go to San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah, I've been to a few conventions actually. I actually went to the inaugural year of LA Comic-Con when it was Stan Lee's Kamikaze. And I did not meet Stan Lee, but he was close enough for me to grab him if I wanted to. And it was just like it was like we were just standing in the walkway, we were looking at something, and it was just like a tornado of energy just started like building up, and we turned around and me and my boy was like, that's Stan Lee. And he walked by, obviously he had like his security and like the people, his handlers and stuff, and they were like whisking him off somewhere. But there was a family of people dressed up like the OG like 60s X-Men. It was like the dad was Cyclops, the mom was Jean Grey, and they had like little kids, and the little baby was like Wolverine, and and Stan Lee walks by, he's like, amazing, and then just like keeps going. And I was like, oh, super cool.
Yeah.
I've been
Played off that compliment for the rest of my life.
right.
Right.
Stan Lee said
Yeah.
I was
Well,
amazing.
look,
Yeah.
don't talk to me like that. I met Stan Lee once, okay?
Yeah.
Did you ever like me at the time that Stan Lee said I
Know
was
your voice
amazing?
when you
Did
talk
you
to
hear
me,
about this?
okay?
Yeah, no. So that was pretty cool. I've been to Comic-Con a bunch of times. I will say I'm not sleeping outside to see a preview of a movie that's gonna be on YouTube. I wasn't really into trying to like get into the panels and stuff like that. And by the time I was going to Comic-Con in San Diego, it was like the height of Marvel. It was like we getting into like Civil War and all that stuff like that. And what I realized about San Diego Comic-Con is there's actually a bunch of activations going on outside of the convention center.
Yes.
So like that whole area gets taken over. All the hotels get taken over by different studios and companies and video game companies. So really what we used to do is just go down, we walk around. Obviously, because of my job, we had some passes to go into certain places and events. Like they had one nightclub got turned into like Double Dare. That line was like wrapped around the block twice. So I was like, if y'all want to stand in line for this, cool. But I'm 36. I don't.
Not getting slime.
I have like one good MCL. Like I'm not gonna put myself through it. But we used to just perch up at find a bar, find a patio, perch up, and just watch. There would be like parades, all the cosplayers, and so like my job designing shirts, but we would have a contest to see who could spot the most people like wearing our stuff. And we had a game we played called I Like Your Shirt, where you see somebody wearing a shirt, you say I like your shirt and point. Whoever they make eye contact with first gets the points. We weren't really like keeping track, but it just turned into us yelling, I like your shirt. And then people at the bar would be like, what do you guys? And we'd be like, well, we designed all these shirts. And they're like, wow, y'all designed all those? And it's like, yeah, like we designed like all these. I also have been to Star Wars celebrations. And this was the year when it had not come out yet, but it had already been announced and the trailer had dropped when Force Awakens came out. So it was like a big year. I mean, the Star Wars
the return of Star Wars. Yes.
Yeah. And it was just like, people had their own BB-8s that they made and droids. And there was somebody who had like they had turned like their walker into like a land speeder. It's just like the amount of creativity of that one was great, because that one is a pure like fan convention. It's like Star Wars doesn't put that on. The fans put it on. They are affiliated with it and they do like panels and they'll bring the actors and all that stuff. But all the collectibles and the different things with that, that kind of really energized me to get more into Star Wars, because I was Marvel through and through. And I realized, like, in order to design stuff for Star Wars fans, you gotta know what all the battleships are called and all the
we will get you.
Yeah, and so that one was really, really cool to see, just because
of all that.
Yeah.
The moment you said Walker, I was thinking to myself, like a snow speeder? No, that would make a better AT-AT.
Yeah. You said Walker, I was like,
I was like, why would they do a snow speeder with that? That should be an AT-AT. Okay,
well, it had wheels on it, and it covered it up, so they weren't like moving like this. They were like pushing it. Yeah.
That's fly though.
One person, they had like the little Rascal scooter, and they turned it into the like Star Wars ride from Disneyland. Like I don't know if you Star Tours. I don't know if you guys.
Yes.
So even just like creativity like that. But yeah, the effort and the amount of energy and technical know-how that some of these people have to build the costumes. I mean, there was people out there with real infinity gauntlets that lit up. I was a dude out there in a Sentinel. He was like he was like 7-8 feet tall. Yeah. Inside this Sentinel thing, like walking around. So, But I do think, like you were saying, Sam, the cool thing about it is everybody is very generous and willing to take pictures. The person with the cheapest spirit Halloween cosplay, like they're not gonna have any shame trying to take a picture with like I've custom made and 3D printed my entire,
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think
Right.
like that's the big thing that I think a lot of people don't know until you actually attend a convention, because
Yeah.
unfortunately like our community does not always have the best reputation in terms of like welcoming newcomers and being warm. But I think at cons, everybody's kind of like, you're on our territory, so we don't have to be defensive. And
Right.
Right.
you've done the work of at least coming here and showing your interest, cosplaying or wearing a T-shirt or buying a comic or something.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this is more genuine than just like the random dude at the lunch table who thinks he knows more about
Right.
Wolverine than me, and I've got all these. So I have to like get into this like,
Well, actually,
yeah, and
yeah.
it's like, so yeah. But I've been to a few. I think I'll say San Diego Comic Con inside the actual convention was underwhelming to a degree, and I think a lot of that hype became about the announcements and the panels. And once everybody started sleeping outside for panels, I was just kind of like, I'm not really interested in that. Plus, I've seen all these trailers anyway because like we work with all these companies and
Right.
they show us all this stuff early. But I think seeing the fan reaction, seeing what fans gravitate to, seeing like what fans cosplay the most, like there's always every year like this is the random cosplay
Yeah.
of the con that everybody kind of thought of and came. Like I remember before Deadpool the movie even came out, when it was just rumblings, it was one year it was just like Deadpool everywhere, and it
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, they're definitely gonna make this happen, and it would help us
What's
know what we need to design, what shirts we like. We need more, we need more Deadpool, we need more X-Men
yeah,
because
now
And there's no more
it's
greater moment at a one of those conventions than when you see a bunch of cosplayers who are wearing the same cosplay
mm-hmm.
meet up.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
it's always a great moment when you see like
yeah.
a bunch of Spider-Mans, a bunch of Thors,
Yeah.
At at
a
at
bunch
at,
of Luffy's, a
at the
bunch.
Star Wars one, like the different Mandalorian variations, the
Oh
like
man.
Mandalorian mashups, where like the
Yep.
cowboy versions and the
I've
80s
seen
coked
that
out
and the
versions.
and the
It's crazy.
stormtroopers.
Yeah,
Those are the two that you see people get really creative
yeah.
with their Mandalorians and their stormtroopers. And it's like you can take any theme and make it a
Hmm.
stormtrooper.
Yeah.
You can
Now
take
I'm shocked they didn't have a lot of Deadpool variants.
surprisingly enough, that's what I was gonna say this year at Momocon. I think I can count maybe five. Five Deadpools.
But you weren't at Dragon Con.
No, now Dragon Con, they did, was it like 50 in
Because at Dragon Con they have a Marvel photo shoot, but they
yeah,
have a Deadpool photo
they
shoot.
specifically, but and
Right.
I will say that Deadpool, especially at Dragon Con, and that's one of the interesting thing about all of these cons is they do kind of have their overall themes.
Hmm.
And what's really interesting is I've noticed that when you go, like, okay, prime example, RG mentioned specifically Comic Cons, and then you have like anime cons, and everybody there is the theme for the convention is anime, and then you have a theme where the theme is comics. San Diego Comic Con has become more of kind of a pop culture.
Yeah. And movie industry
Right.
kind of
It's more like
announcement venue.
industry led because like I said, I was just talking about Hall H. Like people look for those exclusive trailers to be dropped, those new announcements for projects and movies. And it comes from Hall H. I mean, MCU's been doing it for some years now.
Yeah.
And
That's where the
even
Batman v Superman was announced. That's where,
yeah, like all the
all that
big,
stuff gets announced.
and of course, if we haven't heard anything and San Diego Comic Con is coming close, we're like, oh well, we expect to hear something this weekend. Oh, it's San Diego Comic-Con. Now, panels I've never really given the right kind of attention or appreciation or love. And going to Momocon this year in the capacity that I did, I got to ask people some questions and get my questions answered. And I don't know how many panels I would do this way, but just sitting in, even when I didn't have a question, to hear the questions that other people had to ask these celebrities or these writers, these artists, these musicians, these whoever, you know what I'm saying? The person that's being interviewed, the person that's a part of this panel, to ask them their opinion, their thought, their reasoning, their explanation for different things, as you mentioned, RG, is a new insight to whatever that I didn't have before. And I can honestly say that I have a little bit better appreciation for panels. Might still not attend any myself because what you mean I got to pay to ask this question? What? I'll just watch the movie and come up with my own explanation.
Right, I'm good.
But I do understand in some cases, like where the autograph signings were at Momocon, like some of the people that were over there, I get the hype and I get why you are willing to spend that money for that picture with that autograph of that particular person. You know what I'm saying? And I will honestly say that, you know, I'm not here to gatekeep and I'm not going to tell anybody they was wrong for it. Be happy. You get one life. Do that shit. You know what I'm saying? If that's, do it, because I got a chance to meet, talk to, shake hands with, and take a picture with DMC from Run DMC.
Right.
And all I can think is like, bro, you like, I can't even tell you what like meeting you means to me. Like you have always been like so high up, and to like be standing here getting a fist bump and a picture. What?
I was sitting in the back crying.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what did I do in my
And
life to be in this
Wow.
spot?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what did I do in my life to be in this spot?
Ooh.
And it's I get now like
What was DMC there for?
so
he has a comic book.
Oh, okay. I was interested in what really.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
That's
There
dope.
So-
we go.
Daryl makes comics
That's cool.
Wow.
from DMC.
Daryl makes.
Why is that not framed?
Because it is currently sitting with all my other stuff. And I have to, I got to read.
He's got a box of swag. He's got a
Right.
box.
I gotta.
It's a box of swag.
Pardon. Oh,
I mean,
pardon your
not a box.
swag.
Not a box.
That's
Not a
what you
box.
go for. See, Brandy, that's why.
It's-
See, that's why. So, Brandy, for all those people that are probably not going to be in the media and not going to have designed shirts,
But yeah, no, I mean this one. It says
us
2 other
regular
Geek Sam,
attendees,
walk
we
this
go
way.
for the swag.
Run
There's
DMC.
a lot of free shit you're going to get out of these Comic Cons. So go with somebody that likes carrying bags.
Right. And
And
as an interesting little side note, it was kind of funny because I have like a ton of Superman pop figures. Like I literally think I have there's only one that I know
Oh,
of.
nice.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
is that a metal
That's
jaw? Is that a
nice.
metal jaw?
No, it's
No,
just
The
it's-
a
poster.
poster.
Okay.
That's dope.
And
Is he like a superhero?
the comic is it's teacher by day, superhero by night, vigilante kind of thing. I'm not gonna I don't know what the restrictions and whatnot are, but the comic series is called DMC, published by Daryl Makes Comics.
You ain't
Daryl
signed an
McDaniel.
NDA, nigga. You can read the comic on the show.
I mean, I didn't, but you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna tell you, like, it was I did the interview, I got the picture, I have the footage, all of that was really cool. And then when I went down to the booth to talk to them, they completely forgot who the hell I was and was talking to me like I was just, when I tell you, the most basic of people. And I was like, we just had a whole conversation, and it was the son that recognized. He was like, "Oh yeah, you the okay, yeah. Oh, no, come." I was like, "Damn, like
Nah, it'd be
I didn't
like
want to
that.
be." I want to be up here and be like, excuse me, I'm with the press. You know, I didn't want to do that, but
You
at
thought,
Throwing this laminate off.
the same time, I
like,
want to be
man, we had a moment. We
like,
connected.
bruh, right? Like it wasn't even
Thought we was
30 minutes
special.
ago. Like you forgot me already, dog. Like I was in my feelings. So, but yeah, like it's actually an interesting comic, and I will say, I bought one. You could get the set for 100, and I was like, I'll take that one. Can you sign it? That's good. That just the one. Yeah, I'm
It's still
good.
dope though. Nothing takes away from of its dopeness.
Oh yeah, I mean it's absolute. And after reading this one, of course, now I'm kind of like, I really should have just got the whole set. Like, you know what I'm saying? How hard is it going to be to get the other ones? And they're not going to be signed. Damn it! I could have got them all and got them signed. But it's like, honestly, I'm always interested when people have comics. You know what I'm saying? Like Keanu Reeves did one. It's called Berserk, and it is a phenomenal read, and it's a really interesting story. It's John Wick meets an immortal. You know what I'm saying? It's a hell of a story, and it's very unique. And my man been alive so long that he don't want to do it no more. Um,
I don't know how I feel about him calling it Berserk.
it
But it's another
if
conversation.
I was about to
It's
say,
our anime conversation.
you read the comic, it's accurate.
He's
So
got a new
yeah,
movie
like
coming out where he's an angel. And I was like,
I
how
did
fitting.
notice that.
I have to check that one out.
I
I know
just saw
he's
the
I thought it at
preview. I
first
was like, he
when I
literally
saw the
looks like
trailer.
John Wick as an angel.
They just redo that Meg Ryan Nicolas Cage movie.
No, it's
no.
like
No, I seen it
Aziz
because
Ansari.
yeah. No, I seen the same the one you're talking about.
I have to check that out.
They
The
have those
only thing
they
I
have
know he's got coming up
those little wings on their
is
back.
Ballerina.
Yeah, it reminded me of that, like you said, that Nicolas Cage movie, but also Michael. Do you remember Michael with John
I remember
Travolta?
John
Michael,
Travolta.
John
Dude,
Travolta,
love Michael.
and Andy McDowell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Who
I'm
is
just
just adorable
How?
still.
no.
How?
You
I
just
love
posted you just posted something with Andy McDowell, and I was like,
Yes,
wait,
because
who is
she's out here
this?
looking amazing.
Who is this?
Right. I was like,
Andy?
okay, Andy, you better let the kids know your daughter ain't the only one.
I
You
ain't
still got that.
never
I'm
looked
not
at Andy
mad.
McDowell like that, but yo, who is this? Miss McDowell, apparently. Okay.
I always thought she was so beautiful.
And I loved her hair.
Me
Right.
too. She has
She was
really
always
good hair.
big hair and big smile, and now it was like, okay, I see you with the little pixie cut over, right? Okay, okay, I got you. No, I thoroughly enjoyed, and like I said, the biggest issue I've had with panels in the past has always been like, you go, you stand in line, you have to be in line. Like once you get in there, you get your seat. They're going to have usually like a line to get to the microphone. There's only so many questions that get to be asked because the people have limited time, and sometimes it's just a lot of you have the Q&As, and some of the ones we see, obviously nobody's going to post the boring ones, you know what I'm saying? But it's like every time you see a clip of one, it's always some actor from some big franchise having some really cool quippy moment with a fan, or making a joke with a castmate or something. Like, they always have to show it and present it to be so great. But then I've actually sat and watched people who were interviewed, and I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm not familiar with the project or the work, know nothing of this, and it kind of looks like everybody else is in the same boat. We're like, who are you again? Why? Okay. I have to like come up with something to inquire about because you're here and you must be important. Your badge says VIP. So tell me about yourself. What do you like most about what you do? Go. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I don't know. But then you have these other ones, and it's like I could easily see that some of the larger IPs, people have like specific fan bases. You know what I'm saying? Like I would absolutely have questions for Ewan McGregor about Obi-Wan Kenobi that he don't know because he didn't create the character.
Right.
But in your opinion, since you've played him for so long, what do you think Obi-Wan Kenobi would? You know what I'm saying? And it's
What
like,
did the director tell you your motivation is?
right, like what?
He's
How
like,
did
I
you
don't
get in the
know. Listen,
mindset?
bro.
How did you come up with hello there? Was it just what you said? Why does he have that accent? Is it because you have that accent? You know, like there really be questions that come to mind when you find yourself in that moment. But I've never thought to myself, because every time I see the listing of these people are going to be at Dragon Con. Get your tickets today. And then like, okay, so wait, I'm buying the ticket to do what? To go inside the hotel and see the cosplay? All these people are going to be walking up and down the street. I'm not doing that. And then it's like, oh no, they're going. And a friend of mine was like, well, you want to get to the vendor hall. And I didn't know about the vendor halls, which may sound like that's hard to believe if you look at this damn room, but you know what I'm saying? So imagine what it would be like if I had known about vendor halls before now. Ridiculous. And so, and honestly, I did really good. I only bought 2 posters that I have nowhere to hang. No, I take that back. 1, 2, 6, 7. I have 8 posters.
How does nigga went from 1 to
Yeah.
6?
Right, one to
Right.
Because
Didn't he say
no.
2 to 8?
He said he put the 2
Because-
in
Wait,
there.
wait,
You triple it up.
Also.
You triple that. I had 2 with it. I put 4 on it.
wait, no. Because 2 of them are, and the reason it threw
Motherfuckers
me
having
off,
babies.
I apologize. The reason it threw me off is because 2 of them are standalone frameable posters.
Mhm.
6 of them are special edition comic covers poster size.
Gotcha.
So in my head, those are comics. And they're going to get hung up like posters. So it's all the same. But when I was looking, I didn't think of them as posters. And that's why I was like, oh, wait, no, those are posters too. That's literally what happened. But yes,
That was
8
hustle right
posters.
there.
I just have a total of
6 double up that with the 5.
4, 5, 6. So I have 8 posters, 6 comics,
Carry
and
one.
I challenged the guy. I challenged the guy at the Pops collection to show me a Superman pop that I didn't have. And he pointed me to 3, and I had all 3. But the 4th one, damn Joey Tribbiani as Superman from that that Halloween episode of Friends.
Wow.
I actually,
You know, it looks like him. It looks from the eyes.
I actually don't have this pop figure, so okay, he won.
Actually, really, really cute and very specific. And now
For
I want
real.
all of the Friends costumes.
And so I